at saloonsouthwest.com.
Hey, Jordan Sekifetz here for Dodge Street Tire and Auto. Is your vehicle running crazy? My dad Brian and his crew can fix it. For over 25 good years, Dodge Street Tire and Auto has helped friends and neighbors give their cars a second wind. Bring your car to the trusted pros at Dodge Street Tire and Auto. When your car needs help fast, beat a path to Dodge Street Tire and Auto at the corner of Dodge and Church Street.
There are lots of convenience stores, but only one offers great service. Deli Mart. Your locally owned and operated deli marts have 6 very convenient locations. Ice cold beer, energy drinks, pop and java. Plus, if you're hungry, Deli Mart has fresh hot food, snacks, and tons of sweet treats. And if that's not enough, get your gas tank filled and get a sparkling clean car wash. Deli Mart, great stuff and great service. Locally owned and operated since 1986.
Are you retiring and don't know where to go? Confused? Call Tammy Rowe at 631-4795. She can save you lots of money on Medicare. Get you insurance quotes from over 40 companies from the comfort of your home. She'll show you how to navigate the confusing healthcare system. Tammy's been in the business a long time, and she's seen a lot of changes in the system. Believe me, it can be confusing. So stop stressing out and call Tammy Rowe at 631-4795. 631-4795. Tammy knows her stuff.
He dreams of playing in the big leagues, which is taking a toll on your dreams. Most people don't think about their home insurance until something happens. But talking to an American Family Insurance agent today can mean your dreams have better protection tomorrow. Visit amfam.com/home for a quote and see if your insurance measures up. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, S.I. and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin, 53783.
For details, contact Brett Throlson, agent at Brett Throlson Agency, Inc. Call 319-365-6499 or stop by 3407 Mount Vernon Road Southeast in Cedar Rapids today.
Best wishes from everyone at Salt Fork Kitchen. It's their sincere wish that you'll enjoy a wonderful holiday season and a very happy new year. Season's greetings from Salt Fork Kitchen in Solon.
From the Harty and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Here is your KCJJ forecast today. Sunshine up to 28 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the west, switching to the northwest for a time or two this afternoon. About 5 to 15 here today. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 15 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, sunshine, a high of 32. And then on Sunday, mostly sunny. We'll get back up to about 35, headed back to near 40 by the middle of next week. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 13.
Weather brought to you by the Westport Touchless Auto Washes at Walmart Plaza in Iowa City and at Coraville's Hy-Vee. AllHawkeyes.com, sponsored by Premier Auto in North Liberty. Hit a deer, call Premier. Steve Anderson and Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars. Supple Siding and Remodeling. GT Carr and his talented crew. 1-800-800-ROSE. Active endeavors in downtown. Also Zephyr's Printing and Design on the Ped Mall. Big Dog TV and Internet. Don't call the big dogs. Don't call the 800 numbers. Call the big dog locally. 338-6600. And by Dirk Sterner Taxidermy. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Michael Suter from KCJJ and from allhawkeyes.com, Pat Harty.
Is that enough?
Come on. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Trump's lashing out.
Yes, he certainly
He's lashing out.
We are shocked.
He's lashing out. He had a flurry of them today.
He woke up and was mad.
Yep. Eats that McDonald's muffin. I had one of those. I had to get
Sounds
something.
good.
I had one coming in. I had to get something.
Sometimes you
had to get something in my stomach. Don't feel good.
Well, that's good. A little grease never hurt anybody.
Feel a little better. What I do is I get that, that sausage, that it's just a McMuffin with a sausage in it.
Yeah.
I have them substitute bacon for sausage and get that. It's not bad. It's like $1.
Oh, that's not bad.
And, and it soaks up what you need soaked up. So.
Anytime bacon's in the mix, it's a good thing.
Yes.
I agree.
Bacon
like equals good.
I like sausage, too, but sometimes McDonald's sausage is like a laxative.
We don't need that right now.
No.
So.
Well, it was quite a game last night.
You weren't there, right?
I was not. I watched it, of course, because I taped it.
No, it was lively atmosphere, good game.
Crowd was into it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and definitely the crowd was into it, and I mean, it was physical and what have you. And I tweeted before I came in here. It's kind of ironic. Fran's always considered the raging nut, and Fran was actually a calming influence last
He
night.
was. He was the voice of reason.
He was great after the game too. He rushed out there and got Tyler Cook away.
Yep.
And Fran really did help control that situation. I don't think Steve Prohm is as evil as the Iowa fans are making it out
No, they
to be.
really overblew that. He was just trying to separate the two of them.
And there isn't a member of the Iowa staff who did come to the defense of his players maybe a bit too aggressively. But I mean, he was defending his players, so but it could have gotten a lot worse. It didn't. They got everything under control. It was chippy throughout.
Oh, definitely.
What's funny is both chippy incidents involved Connor McCaffrey.
Well, Connor's got an edge.
Well, he does have an edge. He's like his dad. He's like his mom. And other teams know that. He's also the head coach's son. So at the end there, it was hard for me to see for him. You miss so much when you're actually in press row at the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was holding the ball, and they just kept poking at it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was no reason
pissed him
for
off.
It pissed him off, and
Yeah.
stuff like that happens all the time. But no, I just thought they did a good job of no punches were thrown. They got through it. Steve Prohm said all the right things afterwards, and so did Fran. Fran's like, I got a lot of respect for him. Don't even go there. One of the TV guys, and I don't have a problem with the question, was that they didn't really shake hands. How could you shake hands after that melee?
No,
it was just get him off the court and let's go.
That's exactly right.
And when Fran was being asked, he's like, no. You could tell he was saying, don't even go there. And the reporter kept trying to, Fran's like, no. And I agree in this situation that I thought, I forgot even about shaking hands after both teams had to be separated. I say then just get them off the court and get them into their locker room so nothing gets worse.
Well, yeah, you don't want it to escalate and cause a problem.
No, and that's what I thought they were able to do. But no, big win for Iowa.
It was.
Iowa State, I didn't think played very well. I thought their
Not at
defense
all.
was horrible. I thought Iowa State's defense was terrible.
They just didn't play well together. I didn't think they were
just took a bunch
disjointed.
of tough shots, and
Yep.
of course they still have. They're a shell of what they're going to be. I mean, Lard is in his second game. You could tell he was just out of sync the whole game.
Yeah.
They don't have their best player, but that doesn't matter. Iowa won the game. Iowa's now 7-2. It's kind of when you do this, and now you got 9 days off. You don't forget that you're 0-2 in the Big Ten, but it helps soften that a little bit. They got a little momentum going into a 9-day break now.
So Monday we were the worst team in America.
Now they're the best.
And now we're at Final Four
Bring
material.
on Duke,
Yeah.
and you better bring the Warriors because Duke may need some help. That's kind of where it is now, and that's just kind of the age we live in. But
It is,
Did you
but-
say we have Haluska coming on at 9:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask Adam. Adam will have a very unique perspective because he could have actually gone back and forth and fought for both teams last night, being that he played. But he would stay longer and fight longer for Iowa since he played there 3 years.
Boy, and what a spark plug Cordell Pimsel was last night, and a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that was, I mean, we know that he's got some, as Fran said, some hardware that needs to be repaired.
He literally has a screw loose.
He's got, and that's... And,
Good one.
But it sounds like now maybe it's not pushing up against a nerve anymore because he said the pain started to subside. He practiced. They needed Cordell just because, and I think Cordell loves those confrontation stuff. He gleefully raced to defend. Oh, cool. Maybe it's a fight. Yes. He went right there and defended Connor. You need that. I think they fed off that. But the other thing they fed off was his 8 points and 6 rebounds.
No, he was a huge spark plug last night. And, and some of Fran's teams have been accused of being soft, and I think Connor's anything but that. And Cordell Pimsel's got an edge, too, and I think we need that.
And Tyler's not soft.
No, he's not.
I think Cordell gave them that toughness they needed. But, like I said, that jump shot he made from the left base. I mean, when's the last time you saw Cordell Pimsel rise up and make a jump shot?
I know, and it was huge.
Huge. I mean,
and
it was huge.
How about the first half for Isaiah Moss? Where's that guy been?
Well, that's him. And you knew he wouldn't do anything in the second half.
And didn't.
That's just how he is. I mean,
he played some defense.
Someone asked Fran about, have you ever seen Isaiah? He goes, well, I did see him get 19 in a minute and a half at Minnesota.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that?
Oh, that was wild.
He is.
That's just unbelievable.
He is one of the strangest players in that regard, where he can line up every time he shot in the first half. I'm like, well, those were not easy shots either.
No,
those were bad shots. He was actually taking some of them, contested threes from 3 feet beyond the top of the key.
And he was splashing them.
Yep. And Iowa State was making all theirs at the beginning of the game, and all of a sudden they just went ice cold, and they weren't taking bad shots. Did you think in the end?
No,
of the
not really.
But
I thought
they just weren't falling.
Shayok took a couple that were questionable, Now, Jacobson found some success early, but I thought Iowa did a good job on him in the second half defending. I think that's part of the reason he got frustrated.
I thought he was kind of a dick. But
well, that's just his edge. I'm sure Iowa State fans think Connor McCaffrey.
Oh, they hate him already.
If Fran was Iowa State's coach and Connor played for Iowa State, you would hate Connor.
Absolutely.
That's how he is. That's just his edge.
Hey,
to him.
absolutely.
And I got no problem with that. And
nope, I don't either.
It'd be the same. Now, what do you think of that Taylor Tucker? Horton.
He looked pretty good.
He's good. Now, I think the best thing that happened to Iowa is when he decides to shoot jumpers instead of going to the basket. He takes some ill-advised jump shots. He took some really bad. But, boy, he's Charles Barkley driving to the basket, and he is a big kid.
Yeah.
He looks like a tight end.
So, but you talk about another, or at least for me, a surprising stat, out-rebounding them by 20. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
No, you're right. Well, think of Pemsl and Cook, between the two of them, had 7 fewer rebounds than Iowa State did as a team. 11-6, 17. Iowa State had 24. So that was a big part of it. Iowa played better. And like I said, I thought afterwards, some people are upset. A lot of Iowa fans are reaching out to me because I tweeted afterwards because Prom said he was basically just trying to separate players. I believe that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I don't
trying
think
to
he was
start
intentionally
anything.
grabbing
No.
Iowa guys. He's not going to do that. He
There's
said,
no
"You guys
point
know
to
me."
it.
And I think the Iowa coach overreacted, but the Iowa coach was overreacting because he thought his players needed help. So I just say you learn from it, you move on, and you just be glad nobody got hurt.
And, it's a rivalry.
Yeah,
and
like Fran said, it was a spirited game for the
absolutely.
And I thought Fran handled it really well in the postgame, too, by basically saying he's got a lot of respect for Steve Prohm. Let's just move on. And I just thought Fran was the model of stability and coolness last night. What do you think of that?
Well, that's good. That's good.
It was fun watching both the coaches on the sideline. Actually, you're right. Fran was actually more subdued than.
Well, Fran, we've talked about this before, and Tom, you see it. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about Fran. Yes, he does lose it and turns into red-faced rage at least once or twice a game. But for the most part, he doesn't ride the officials at all.
No.
Unlike Mark Turgeon, Tom Izzo. I mean, Tom Izzo and Turgeon nonstop ride the officials. Just nonstop.
Now, okay. Tell me what I'm missing here. Why don't the officials say, Coach,
I don't know.
Sit down?
Because I think they're like, well, that's just Izzo's style. You got to live with it. And
Well,
same with
why?
Turgeon. I don't know. Turgeon's worse than Izzo.
I think he is. But
Turgeon
take
just
control. The referees are in control, not the coaches.
There's a box they're supposed to stay in, and they never do.
I mean, call it.
Come on.
Turgeon just nonstop is constantly riding the officials. But Fran will get upset at sometimes. A couple times last night I was watching Fran when the crowd would get upset, then Fran would decide to get upset. Hell, if they're mad, then I'm going to get mad too a little bit. But for the most part, Fran's usually over there trying to motivate his players. And if Fran yells, he usually yells at his players more than he does the officials.
Yeah.
Now, there's times where he'll let the officials have it, but I think that gets carried away just because when he does lose his temper, he really loses it. But, no, that was a big win. It was a great atmosphere. They needed it. The fans needed it. And it was fun. It was a fun game. And you almost expect a little bit of chippiness when Iowa plays Iowa State.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it.
And now you just hope better Iowa, just like in football, better Iowa State does, better win. To me, right now, this is probably Iowa's best win because Oregon,
without question,
Connecticut and Oregon aren't very good.
So, I mean, we can pretty easily imagine that Iowa State makes the NCAAs. I would think.
I would think I'd give them a better chance of making it than Iowa.
Yes.
But I'm not totally convinced they're going to make it. I want to see the team that played last night was not very good.
No, they weren't cohesive.
They weren't. They didn't play very well on defense. So
no.
More than likely, but I still need to see how they get him fixed in with everything, and we'll see. I just was not that impressed with their offense. They just seemed they'd rotate the ball once or twice, and somebody would be like, I guess I'm going to take this shot. It just, like you said, there just wasn't any flow or cohesiveness.
No.
And then they tried to turn it sort of physical, and I liked the fact that Iowa answered. And what we're still seeing with Iowa, Garza's still struggling, and yet they still were able to get, 98 points? I got the box here.
And Jordan isn't lighting it up yet either.
Let's see. Bohannon had 7 points, 2 of 7 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, and Luka Garza had 4 points. Between the two of them, two starters had 11 points. Garza's in a funk.
He is, and I wonder.
He already had good games since the surgery, and hell, there's already been stories written about, look at this turnaround he's having. But no, just these last 3 or 4 games, she's really gotten into an offensive funk. He doesn't seem to be playing with a lot of confidence.
And wasn't he the MVP at that tournament?
Yes.
And it's hard to believe.
And it's like he's in slow motion for some reason too. I kind of noticed
that.
that.
I mean, he just does not seem to have a good flow to him. And you would think it was the cyst thing had he not had those games earlier in the year where he was playing well. It's like it's just like he hit some type of wall. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
He did this last year too, though. He had a couple periods last year where he struggled and got out.
And then he finished strong.
He needs some threes to fall. I mean, he just when he aired that 1-3, you knew that's just not Luka Garza.
Yeah.
And Bohannon the same way. Jordan's shooting maybe under 30% from 3-point range now. I think he was like 12 of 32 or something like this. Now, and he goes 1 of 5 last night. No, I believe he is under 30% from 3 now. That's not going to last all season.
You sure wouldn't think? I think Jordan's going to come out and have a game where he hits 6 or 7 threes and problem solved. I think that's just what's going to happen. I hope, because he's too good of a shooter.
Well, yeah, if Jordan's not making shots, then I'm not saying he becomes a liability, but he comes close to being a liability because he is at times that on defense. You put up for all that other stuff because he is so deadly from 3, but right now it's just not there.
No.
Hello.
Hey, lonely old Grandpa Dirk.
Hey, Log D.
Hey, still buzzing about that game last night. It was really something to watch. I'll disagree with you on ISU coach prom queen.
And
he has no business putting his hands on our players. He did it in the first half, and he did it in the second half.
Yeah, I'm just not going to take it as far. But you're an Iowa fan like all the other ones bitching.
I'm sorry, but you don't put your hands on the opponent's players. You don't do that ever.
I mean, where is that said? I mean, where is that written? You're just saying that? I mean, if there's 2 players fighting right in front of you, and you're the head coach, you're going to grab the opposing player.
You go after your players.
You go after
like
either
Fran
one
did,
of them.
and
No,
you push them away.
Dirk.
Fran never approached.
Dirk, you act like
Iowa
you're reading
State
out of
player.
some manual. You're just stating your biased Hawkeye opinion, which is fine.
True.
But you're not being objective. I mean, if there's 2 players fighting in front of you, you'd grab them both if whatever it takes
you
to
grab
separate.
your own players.
I disagree.
I didn't take it as I just saw him trying to
I do too.
separate
This
the
is the
players.
biased Hawkeye fan just spewing.
Well,
that's what this is, and that's all we've seen.
Well, and he
since
was
the
not
end of the
alone.
game.
There was a
I
round
know
of,
it's all over the place.
A ton of booze at the end of the
I
game.
get it. I get it. But don't try to act like you're objective when you're biased. That's what drives me
I don't think
crazy.
I'm acting objective, but I do think I've rarely seen an opponent's coach go and put hands on the opponent's
Okay, and I've
players.
rarely seen Iowa games where there's skirmishes like this. Last night was an unusual circumstance.
Yeah. It was.
It was unusual, and I'm not saying Prohm handled it perfectly, but this narrative that he was out there grabbing Iowa players and
No,
is just such an
he
overreaction.
did grab Bohannon around the waist.
And the other thing is, if you got 2 players looking like they're coming to blows and you only grab your player, what's to stop the other player from hitting that player who's a dead duck if he's being pulled away? I mean, I just think
it looked a lot worse than it actually was.
Yes.
I think you try to get in between the players so that
And I
no
think that's
further
what he
harm
was
can-
trying to do, but there's this Hawkeye narrative now that he was just out to do nothing but trouble. If we want to go there, I thought the Iowa system.
I don't think that. I think he overreacted. And again, you don't touch the opponent's players. He did it in the first half, and I thought not a big deal.
There's no rule. You keep saying that like you're reading a manual.
And the first skirmish, when Pemsel got involved, that I thought that was worse than the one at the end.
Well, Pemsel made that worse. He overreacted.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was grandstanding,
Yes, he did.
and that's fine. That's his thing. He loves, hey, I'm the tough guy for this team. You're going to get through me, which is fine.
Don't mess
I
with my
thought the
guys.
ISU players at the end of the game were way out of line trying to poke the ball
Agreed.
out of McCaffrey's hands, and I think
Yeah, that was
they
just
reflected their coach's attitude. And then to have Jacobson for ISU poke the ball after time had expired out of Connor's hands.
Yeah, no, I didn't like any of that.
inflammatory.
I didn't
He
like-
should have
but
been popped in the mouth.
I didn't
for
like
that.
any of that, but I don't know how you can blame Steve Prohm for that. I mean, I just
Because he put his hands on Bohannon, and he shouldn't have done that.
He
He
didn't-
should have put his hands on his own players.
All
Let
right,
our
well, I'm not going to
coaches-
sit here and argue about this. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm just explaining. It's not an argument.
Well, I'm annoyed by it because you act like you're speaking facts. I mean, you act like you're stating fact and you're stating your biased Hawkeye opinion, which is fine. This is a Hawkeye show, but don't try to present it as fact. Like
Who's
you're
the former Indiana player who Dekich? He
Dan
came out
Dakich.
on Twitter last night immediately after the game and said that Prom was out of line
Well,
and
then
had
that
no
fuels my
business
argument
doing
even more
what he
because
did.
Dan Dockich is an idiot. He's a
I'll agree.
moron. He's a loudmouth, biased
No
moron.
argument here.
He's the most biased grandstander out there. I
You're
couldn't
right.
care less what Dan Dockich says. Hell, I would almost take just the opposite just because he's such an idiot. So, I mean, that doesn't strengthen
I thought
your...
Fran handled it well. I was really proud of Tyler Cook both times in the first half and the second half because
Yeah, and I tweeted
he
that. I
could
thought
have escalated it and didn't.
I thought Fran calmed the whole thing down. I really
Yeah,
did. And I
yeah.
tweeted that this morning that I think he deserves a lot of credit. I just think there's just a little bit too much angst being shown toward Prom, like he was. I don't know. I mean, but
Well, I thought his players reflected his personality there. At
that's
the end
not
of
his
the game.
personality at all, though. That's not Steve Prom at all.
Well, I was
And I
glad
don't-
to
I
see
don't
him
know him, so-
apologize for it afterwards.
But he did, but he also got his point across that he thought it was a complete overreaction by the assistant coach for Iowa who confronted him. I mean, Prom was speaking out of both ends of
Who
his
told
mouth.
him to don't touch our players?
Yeah, and he didn't like that. And
I don't like it either.
And he didn't.
And
No,
that's-
Prom did
we'll
not
leave it
like
at
the
that.
coach. Prom did not like the coach coming up to him and doing that. He said, "So I mean, there's two sides to this thing, but I mean, but just to present this like he was wrong, it's fact and whatever. That's just your opinion."
That's
and,
right.
And Dirk, you have to admit, you're biased. I mean, you're a Hawkeye
I do.
homer.
I do.
But that I've told you guys this, and Tom, nothing drives me crazy more than biased fans trying to present their stands as fact. It's always driven me crazy.
And it's always going to be that way. So
if they just
On
admit,
a different note, I am concerned, not as concerned with Wieskamp and his inability to score lately. He's obviously got an injury, but Bohannon and his continued struggles are a concern. I think all Hawkeye fans were really worried in the first half when Iowa State got that 4-point lead, and we had, 9 turnovers at that point early in the first half?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sloppy ball on our part, and it continued in the second half with the careless turnovers, mostly passing the ball.
Well, they were in safe mode, and they did not play that very well.
Well, it just shows you, turnovers are bad. I get it. Iowa had 18. Iowa State had 11. Iowa won by 14.
They were showing some graphics late in the game on Iowa's statistics with free throws this year, and it's stunning. They lead the nation in free throw attempts, completions, a lot of different free throw categories that were impressive. And yet Iowa State shot way more free throws than we did last night.
Well, 23-28. I mean, it was a pretty.
Oh, is that what it ended up being?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
So I've actually got the facts right here in
And
front of me. I got the box.
they just barely got above 50%. I know they missed at least 10 of them.
They were 18. They were 18 of 29. Iowa was 19 of 23.
You mentioned earlier this Iowa State team is just scratching the surface. It was clear they are going to be a much better team come into the season, and this will look like
their
a better
best players
victory.
out. I mean, their best players has barely played this year. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and Lard was lost last night. You could tell that he was just not ready. And Lard, I thought, brought kind of a bad edge. He's
going to be a tough one to
Well, no,
handle.
I just thought he didn't help them last night. I thought he complained and bitched, and
He did.
And I know Iowa fan. Well, he's just modeling after his head coach, and that's so not Steve Prohm. That's all I'm saying. I'm not an Iowa State fan, but I just don't want to make Steve Prohm out to be like he's Bobby Knight or Dan Dockich for that.
Oh, I
matter.
do.
But I thought Cameron Lard though just didn't bring them much good energy at all. Every time they'd blow the whistle.
No, I wasn't very impressed with him either.
And Jacobson, I did think that stuff at the end there when they were trying to get the ball from Connor. Let it go. You lost.
Yeah.
I do think they were the instigators there at the end. I agree with that. And I do think the difference was Fran came out there, and Fran just grabbed Tyler. I mean,
He
it
really
was
did.
amazing. And he just pulled him
we're
back.
We're going to the locker room now.
No, and I just thought Fran deserved praise for helping to control that situation.
He
I will
really
give you this,
handled it
Dirk.
well.
Fran did a lot better job of handling it than Steve Prohm did. I will say that.
There you go.
I just don't
That's
think
the best
I
way
just
to-
don't think Steve Prohm was out there physically just grabbing Iowa guys, get my player. I just think that was an overreaction, and it was all over Twitter last night.
Oh yeah,
it was everywhere. I'd get people. Did you see Prohm? He was practically getting those Iowa guys in headlocks. I had someone say that he came close to getting one of the Iowa players in a headlock. Come on,
Well, let's not get that carried away.
Yeah.
That's all
I
I'm
was
saying.
really impressed with Connor McCaffrey last night. Not only his toughness and his ability to lead on the floor, but his free throw shooting. I mean,
was
he
8
was
for 8.
flawless, just stuck every one of them.
12 points, 5 assists. Let's see, 1 block. He had and he did all that in about 20 and a half minutes.
How many turns?
Turnovers for Connor, 2.
Now, Pat, you were there early, obviously, before the game started. What did you think when you saw Pencil in uniform?
Well, we were all surprised. I mean,
did you think he was going to play?
No, because they didn't say anything to us the day before. And I mean, hell, I was told by Iowa that Wieskamp wasn't going to start. Then he ends up starting. I'm to the point now where I don't even try to guess that stuff anymore. And if that's Fran's prerogative to wait till the very end, I don't care. But a lot of the media gets there early so they can be the first ones to see, like, if Wieskamp's moving around well. You could tell, though, in warm-ups that Wieskamp was going to play. Now, as far as Pemsel, no, none of us saw that coming. And
well, he brought a toughness that we've been lacking in the last few games down low. And not just toughness, but a court sense or savvy that, unfortunately, Kriener and Luca Garza just aren't displaying lately.
Yeah, Kriener and Daly only played 4 minutes.
Yeah, they weren't in very much.
Kriener just kind of didn't get into the flow of last night's game.
And neither did Daly. And Garza,
Garza played 15, almost 16 minutes, 4 rebounds, 4 points, 2 turnovers. No, he's just not playing well.
No,
right
he isn't.
No.
But they still won a big game without him playing well. That's the encouraging thing.
And without Jordan playing well.
And Jordan, I don't worry about Jordan's three-point shooting. I just worry about him letting that affect other parts of his game because, he's down right now. You can tell.
Well, and let's face it, he was hurting us again defensively. When he loses his player at the point, it breaks the rest of the defense down.
Well, that's their whole problem.
We saw it time and again last night in the first half. And he didn't play a lot.
Well, no, Fran took him out because they were just doing better with Connor in there.
They sure were.
Connor was getting Moss the ball in perfect situations, and it just was flowing better. And that's what I like about Fran. I mean, there was a time when Fran took Connor out last night, too, and read in the riot act. I mean,
really?
Yeah, you could tell he wasn't happy with something Connor did, and Connor took it. I mean, Fran, I've seen Fran unload on Connor a couple times. I mean, Connor's playing now not because he's the coach's son, because he deserves it. I mean, he
absolutely
deserves every minute he's getting right now. He has exceeded my expectations for him. He's way better than I thought he was going to be right now. I mean, for him to come in and do what he did last night, I mean, that was huge. They don't win that game without him, probably.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it was a fun game to watch. It was aggravating at times with the turnovers, and yet, man, when they took control of that game, that was very satisfying. It's always nice to curb stomp the Cyclones in anything, and that's really what it was last night, even when it got close.
I did notice Iowa State had 11 steals. Iowa had 3. That's Iowa's lack of athleticism right there. Iowa State's a much more athletic team. But basketball's not all about athleticism. I mean, every time that Horton Tucker took a shot from beyond 5 feet, I thought that was a victory for Iowa because he's not a very good outside shooter. No. He thinks he is, but he's not. No. And that's what Prom's going to have to figure out a way to kind of bring him in a little bit because I thought he took some really bad. I thought Iowa State took some bad shots.
They did, but they made some big shots in the first half, and during that comeback, they had a flow.
They did. They played in spurts. I mean, Weiler Babb does nothing. Then all of a sudden, I mean, he didn't sit out at all in the first half. How many minutes did he played the entire game, Weiler Babb.
Seriously?
All 40 minutes. He took 5 shots.
Is that right?
Yeah, he had 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. To play 40 minutes and only get that to me wasn't that good. I do think he got screwed on one call where he blocked Connor's shot from behind.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think that was a foul. But
there was a lot of that last night.
Yeah, there was. But I commend Iowa. Iowa was the better team last night, and Iowa was the better behaved team last night, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them on both fronts, I'll say that.
Yeah, and tell me, do you know if those were Big Ten refs or Big 12?
I don't. I should know that. Ask Tom Kaker would know that. That's one of those things I'm working on a column, 5 things that I don't care about that your normal sports writer does care about, and one of them is the officials. I've never had any interest in who the officials. I don't even know who they are.
No.
But all my other guys who I work with probably knew who they were and could tell you everything about them. I've just never. So no, I wish I could answer it, Dirk. But here, maybe it's on the sheet.
Ever since Jim Bain retired, I haven't been interested in the officials.
I thought they may have them. Oh yeah, officials: Terry Weimer, Keith Kimball, and Mike Eads.
Weimer's Big Ten, but they could be both.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I did, but I don't. But I'll have that column. I'm working on that column during the Christmas break. Another thing is,
I liked your article about Ryan Driscoll yesterday.
Wasn't that sad?
God, it's just unbelievable. I've seen varying reports of his age from between 44 and 46.
I think it's 45, isn't it?
45 is what I was told when I read.
That's what I read, too. And just, I remember, it seems like yesterday when he was a multi-sport all-stater at Linmar, and they had a machine at Linmar at the time.
It was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, and he never got to the plateau here, but, Donnie Patterson, you really had some nice quotes from Donnie Patterson.
I figured Don was his position coach and his offensive coordinator, and if you remember, Ryan got beat out by Matt Sherman, and it did not, he didn't like it, but he didn't transfer, he didn't leave, what have you, so I always commended him for that, and he stayed connected to the Hawkeye family and what have you. It was just sad. I mean, like Don said, he was working out. He was trying, I mean, I'd heard that he'd maybe gotten a little out of shape, as we all do when we get into most of us do, and that he was riding the treadmill and getting back in shape. And sadly, this tragically, and that is fact that his wife had to find him.
Oh, it's terrible.
Just horrible, man. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family. I mean, guy was trying to stay in shape, and
You wrote a really touching story that's on all Hawkeyes, and a big part of that was Don Patterson's input.
Yeah.
And
Epi Epinez's photo. I appreciate Epi. Epi gave me a great quote. He said, he was the first guy to reach out to me when I was brand new to Iowa. I thought that was pretty neat.
Wasn't that neat? Epi's walking to school, cold, freezing, Samoan, and, an unknown land, and Ryan Driscoll picks him up, gives him a ride, and they're best friends for life.
Yep. So that's...
Well, I'm going to let you go. I'm interested to hear what Adam has to say about the game last night.
Yeah, he's got a unique view having... So,
yeah.
We wait for him to call, or do we call him?
No, he'll call in with the Marcus.
I'll get off the line and let him call.
Okay.
Thanks
guys.
And
that's probably him right there.
Yep.
That's probably him.
All right, we'll take a break. Here's Adam Haleska with the markets.
Remember, don't let him go. We're going to talk hoops. All
yes, I'm aware. Morning, Adam.
Hey, good morning, guys. Go ahead and do the market report here. Stocks finished mixed on the day Thursday. The Dow was down 79 points. S&P was down 4 points, and NASDAQ declined 29 points to close at 7,188 for the day. The major averages recovered from steep losses early in trading as investors assessed a late update from the Federal Reserve. U.S. equities paired losses after a report that the central bank was considering a more cautious approach to future rate hikes. Trade tensions also garnered attention as Canadian authorities arrested the CFO of a major Chinese company yesterday at the request of the United States. That move angered Chinese officials and also raised doubts that the two nations will secure a new trade pact. Looking at the market here today, Friday, December 7th, markets are down in early trading. The Dow is down 150 points, S&P is down 21, and NASDAQ is down 76 points here in early trading. Investors are digesting the all-important first Friday jobs report, which showed that the U.S. economy added 155,000 jobs for the month of November. That number was below the expected 198,000. The unemployment rate remains at a 50-year low of 3.7%, while our average hourly earnings did tick up 3.1%, and that matched the October report and the best wage growth since 2009. In corporate news, Altria shares are up 2.4% on news that the tobacco giant is taking a 45% stake in cannabis producer Cronos. Big Lots is slumping 20% this morning after posting a wider-than-expected loss in its quarterly earnings report. And Lululemon is down 4.6% even after beating the top and bottom line and topping same-store sales projections. Treasuries are weakening this morning with the yield on the 10-year note up 2 basis points. That's at 2.90%. In commodities, crude is gaining 1.8%. That's at $52.42 a barrel. And lastly, gold is adding 0.4%, and that is trading at $12.43 an ounce. Once again, this has been Adam Haleska, Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, member SIPC. If you're in Iowa City, Coralville area, we can be reached at 319-338-3799. Or you can always come in and see us. Adam Haleska, Corey Urian, and Ted Stoley. We're at 501 12th Avenue, Suite 201 in Coralville, Iowa.
Here is your KCJJ forecast today. Sunshine up to 28 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the west, switching to the northwest for a time or two this afternoon. About 5 to 15 here today. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 15 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, sunshine, a high of 32. And then on Sunday, mostly sunny. We'll get back up to about 35. Headed back to near 40 by the middle of next week. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 13.
We're as close as your smart device. Just ask Alexa to play KCJJ on TuneIn. Our video and audio streams are powered by Lucky's Market at the Iowa City Marketplace.
That's what I wanted to play.
13 degrees.
Not the weather, but yeah, it's cold.
It's definitely basketball weather.
Cold outside.
Adam, you with us?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing? All right, I want to start by saying, all right, you're playing last night. Who do you punch first? All right, start first with Iowa State. Since you played for both, you're at Iowa State. Who do you punch first? And then when you're on Iowa, who do you punch? All right, no, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I don't even know where to start with this thing.
it's a little blown out. It was a little weird, right? I mean, when, Chrome is he's not that guy, I would agree. The first half, I mean, I had to watch it on TV. My daughter had a game, so I got home and had it taped, and I ended up catching up by halftime. But when, on a TV view, you just see Chrome running like a WWE official into the screen, from the other side of his bench. And then obviously at the end of the game, those are rivalry games, and you know that it's pretty heated, and both sides want to win that game bad. And I think it blew up a little bit, but I'm very pleased with the result, and I thought our guys came out and we played with some toughness last night.
Oh, no, and I agree. And all I'm saying is I thought Prohm was trying to separate more than instigate. And I guess the fact that he did put his hands on Bohannon doesn't look good, but I don't think he had bad intentions. That's all I'm saying. What he did, that just
I would agree. I would agree. I understand Dirk's point when, coming from a Hawkeye fan and seeing it. I see it too. I didn't see anything malicious with it. There was some screaming and yelling. And it didn't look like Jordan was taking too much of an offense to it as far as what was going on there. So I agree. At that point of the game, and even the handshake, you always want to end it on a good note. Fran was right in the postgame. I thought he did an unbelievable job of just saying, hey, just get everybody out of here. There's no good going to come through going through that line.
And I agree. People are saying, well, that's just a bad look. No, it would have been so awkward to try to get those kids back together to go through that form line. I thought Fran was great at making sure that thing didn't escalate by getting his arms around Tyler and getting him back, and I didn't even think about the handshake thing. But as far as the game itself, Adam, is there any one or two? I mean, obviously the toughness factor for Iowa, but just from an execution standpoint, what really impressed you about Iowa?
I think the rebounds for me were a huge thing. Even Tyler, some of those where he missed it and put it back in with a dunk, and just his presence in the lane. If we can have guys rebounding, because there's going to be nights where we can't throw it in the ocean. Mm-hmm. If we can play defense and rebound like we did, plus 20 on the boards is huge. That's really the difference, because we still turned the ball over. It was 18 to their 11, but those rebounds were big possessions where we didn't let them get second shots. Even for us, we got follow-ups on the offensive rebound that usually led to points. It was good to see our guys have that kind of effort, aside from just shooting the ball well.
And the fact that Connor was involved in both skirmishes, is it just a coincidence that he's the head coach's son, or do you think other players maybe will try to push at him a little bit? Plus, Connor's emotional. I mean, you watch Connor in high school, you can tell he reacts to a lot. Yeah. Do you think that was just a coincidence, or do you think that's something he's going to have to be prepared for? Other teams may come at you when they want to try to come at Iowa.
I kind of like his attitude. Especially he's one of those guys you want him on your team.
Yes.
And I think he's taken a lesson from his mom and dad, who are big-time competitors, whether it's college or coaching, whatever they're doing now. Connor's grown on me. I thought him coming in, I know he was a really good baseball player. I thought, should he be playing basketball? Should he maybe focus on baseball? He's having a heck of a year, and I just love the demeanor he's brought to this team. He's tough. He's long. He's 6'6", 6'5". He does what he needs to do. He doesn't try to do too much. And even last night, I like a guy that's got a little chip on his shoulder. So you don't always know what's being said out there. Mm-hmm. We see the body emotions. You don't know if somebody said something that got him fired up or, got him upset, but he didn't back down. And as coach's kid, you got to have tough skin, and he's proven it so far. He's really been a key to our team having the success we've had early on.
Well, being a basketball player, Adam, what do you think's going through Jordan Bohannon's mind now? He's obviously struggling with his shot, and he's one of the best pure shooters you're ever going to see. What do you think's going on, and how do you think he breaks out of his funk?
Part of it is you see a couple go in, and I think that's going to help his game. The other part too is, Jordan's exposed a little bit more. He's kind of labeled as that guy. You got to make sure you don't let him get going. So teams are really shading towards him. He's backing up a little bit more. That freshman year when he had Peter Jock on the team, and he was a freshman running around, he was getting good looks and kind of had the approach of, shoot it when I get it, I'm open. Now it just, teams have seen a couple of years of him, so they're concentrating on him a little bit more. I think it'll open up. The more that we can get Garza and Cook going inside, it's going to open that outside shot for him. But I don't think he's pressing too much. He's not taking bad shots, in my opinion. He's taking what comes to him. So he's going to have some big games where he throws in 20-plus points. But, right now he's just got to find that shot. There's a few times last night where he came off the screen and got a good look. He kind of held up on it. And that's for him to know when he's comfortable, and hopefully it turns around soon here. He'll get that ball going in the basket at a pretty high rate.
Well, they scored 98 points, and Bohannon and Garza combined for 11. I mean, to me, that's a good sign. I mean, it shows that they've got a lot of different weapons. I mean, Nicholas Baer's not going to come in and shoot like that every game. He's done it in 2 games, though, now. So, I mean, he is capable of doing that.
Well, and then you add, Wieskamp had 7, so
three starters combined for 18 points. And they still scored 98 points.
Well, and what was huge, too, is, when Nick comes on off the bench, last year when he tried to start and come have a different role, it's just different out there. When he comes in and has that energy, he's moving at a much faster pace than some of those other guys. He's diving on the floor. He's getting rebounds. He's getting open and taking shots. And when he comes in, he's ready. I love how he comes off the bench.
Yeah,
and
I do, too.
Kind of has that instant spark. He's really filling that role. And the other guy too, Moss, we haven't even talked about him yet. That first half, we've seen it happen before, and then he kind of disappears in the second half.
And you knew he was going to.
If he can give us a half like that, I'll take that all day long.
That was huge, too. I mean, that 18 of his 20 points in the first half when the game was still going back and forth. And some of those, Adam, I didn't think Iowa State's defense was that bad. I mean, he'd taken 3-pointers contested in traffic, in transition, and everything was going in for him. It's just amazing how he can get on sometimes.
Yeah, and you can see it sometimes early in games. It's kind of one of those where he'll get a couple shots early, and if he makes them, he'll keep going. If he doesn't, he kind of just fades away and disappears, which isn't good for us. Even in the second half, when you've been shooting like that, you've got the green light, in my opinion, to come out and still try to, get back into a groove even after sitting for a half or being at halftime. He's a different player. I thought, once again, after Peter Jock left a couple of years ago, I thought he was going to fill that role and be that scorer. And he'll have great games here or there, but there again, he'll kind of disappear for a while. But when he's on, there's not many guys in the country that can stop him.
So with Jordan, obviously Connor's going to be playing more, deservedly. He's going to be playing 15 to 25 minutes a game, depending on matchups and how he's playing. Does Jordan need to focus a little bit now on the shooting guard role? I mean, it seems like he's struggling. Your former head coach at Iowa, Alford, was incredible at writing picks. And remember how those Indiana, I mean, he always seemed like he knew. That looks a lot easier than it said. It looks like Jordan right now is kind of still figuring out how to get open as a shooting guard. I mean, explain. I mean, you played that position. It's a lot easier said than done.
No, it is, and it took me a while. When I was at Iowa State, we didn't really run that kind of motion system.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little more freelance and a drive and kick type offense at Iowa State. And when I came here, it takes a while. And I thought by the time I got to my junior and especially my senior year, I really would watch tapes of like Reggie Miller and, watch some of those old Indiana tapes or even some of the guys in the NBA just trying to get open and doing different tricks to give yourself an inch of space. Now, there again, Jordan's, in years past, he's been open, and now that he's a focal point, he's got to probably work at coming off picks from down low or high picks or flare cuts. I think Connor will give him that opportunity, but there again, you've got to be able to use those screens and find ways to get open. So if I'm him, I think it's a nice new role that he can take, but he's got to start working on, like you said, coming off picks, getting that motion style where it's not going to be a one or two dribble shot for him. And I don't want him to keep backing up because it seems like right now he's playing so far from the perimeter. We need to get him good shots, whether we start, mid-range or in close, and then as he gets his rhythm, start coming back out further.
That's a good point. I think there's times where he's taking threes that are even tough for him to make. But it's going to be interesting to see because, like I said, Connor's going to play more. I mean, he is.
And he should.
He's a big part of this rotation now. So, Adam, when you played in this Iowa State game, did you guys ever come close to blows? I don't remember. Was there ever, was it, I mean, I don't want to make more out of last night than it was, but I don't remember a lot of these games having a ton of stoppages of plays. Did you guys have any? Do you remember?
I don't think so. I know I got knocked down pretty good. It wasn't even malicious, but I tumbled into the cheerleaders, I think, my junior year when I went back there. And that's when they had a pretty good team, like Stinson and those guys, and we ended up getting beat there. And I know Horner was out. He hurt his knee in the UNI game before that, so we were without our starting point guard there. But you know what's weird is kind of like last night, they mentioned a few times, Iowa State doesn't have a lot of Iowa guys.
Well, it's
a lot of...
They never do, really.
Well, they have one guy.
Well, Jacobson.
Yeah.
And I know that, for me, even when I was over there, it was always a big game because I lived in the state. I understood the passion and, you want to make sure that you're representing your school and, you don't want to lose to the rival. I wonder... It seemed like George Niang and those guys kind of got it a few years ago, even though they're not from Iowa. They understood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much those guys last night felt, especially these guys coming from Virginia and coming from all over the country.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
How much it really means to them. And you could tell guys like, Pemsel, McCaffrey, Bohannon, it's a little different feeling.
And Jacobson.
And
that's a good
point.
point.
He came out with fire.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Jacobson's. I mean, I think, Adam, when you played at Iowa State, I think one of the storylines was the fact that you were about the only Iowa guy. I mean, there wasn't a lot of. I mean, I'm trying to think. Who were your teammates?
Yeah, Jared Holman would have been the other one.
He would have been the other one. Yeah, and that was. Other than that, it's been that way for a while. And that's what was kind of funny last night. Iowa gets in-state bragging rights, but it was two out-of-state players who led the way: Missouri and Illinois. I mean, of course Iowa's got those strong Iowa ties, but boy, you take the out-of-state players out of last night's game, and then what do you got?
Yeah, well, it's funny too. I want to see Iowa State do well from this point on, especially that we beat them.
Yes,
I think Prom is a good guy, and their program's in they're in a different conference, but we want to see them do well. But I told my cousin, he was with me at Iowa State the first year and ended up being an engineering major, so he grew up a Hawkeye, but he's now a Cyclone. And I told him, how can you cheer for those guys? We got all the Iowa guys on the team, guys that played, over in Dubuque and Cedar Rapids and Quad Cities, and it was just kind of a joke. But it is nice from an Iowa perspective. We've got good homegrown kids that we can watch and see them from the time they're in high school, and even like Wieskamp. We've got some really good Iowa players, but that's just not the direction that they're headed. So
Adam, when you were playing after you transferred, how did the Iowa State fans treat you?
They still don't like me, guys. You know what? I've always said this, and rightfully so. They got an awesome fan base. They got awesome students. It is a great university, but when I made that move, I knew it was going to be tough, and I just took it in stride. It was one game that I had to go there. They had to come play us twice at home, and so I just had to go to Ames one time, and we unfortunately got beat over there, and we beat them both times here. But I got it, and I played for Eustace and his staff, and when they all left, and there was a lot of turmoil going on,
yes,
it just was not the right place for me. And I think my game really developed when I came here, and I got into that motion style, and got to play with guys like Horner and Bruner. Mm-hmm. I think my game really kind of turned up. So
you did what was best for you, and that's what you got to do. You get to go to college one time, and I never had an issue with it. And to me, if I'm you, Adam, I take it as a compliment. The more they dislike you is the fact that the more they were upset that you left. They wanted you to who cares? I mean, to me, that just shows you it struck a nerve with them. But I remember those 3 games. Every time you played Iowa State, you were always the story. And I remember by your senior year, like, all right, here we go again. Because, we wrote about that was one of the big storylines. But, no, I think the offense fit you better. And there was, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing you would have probably been more content playing for Steve Prohm than Larry Eustace. There was a lot of stuff going on over there during that time. It totally made sense why you left.
Yeah, there was. And I mean, I was young. I was 18 years old. And, when there was just a lot. I mean, we had an assistant coach that, left halfway through the year.
Yeah, it was turmoil.
It was. And there's a lot of relationships and stuff that we built. And, I was pretty unsure of what direction things were going to go. And, even with talk of maybe when Wayne Morgan took over that we would probably maybe look at getting another coach in another couple of years, Wayne was going to keep the recruits. That's going on in your mind too. Man, I'm going to come to Iowa State and play for 3 coaches in 4 years. As loyal as a guy that I was into the basketball team, it was an up and down roller coaster, and it was hard emotionally and physically, and even trying to get your studies done because you're not just playing basketball, you're going to school. And I definitely made the right decision. No regrets, but I also don't regret my time at Iowa State. I got to meet tons of great people, and I appreciate their fan base even more. And
well said.
They got a rich history over there, and so hopefully they can continue to have a good year. And I think we played them for us, without Wigington and without the other big that they've got, and Lard coming in, they're going to be a really good team. So this win is going to look good on our resume.
So when you started to think, this isn't for me, I want to go, was it just Iowa, or were there other schools initially that you thought about?
I think I would have been open to looking at like Creighton and other schools, but I grew up a huge Hawkeye fan, guys, and I was bleeding black and gold, and I knew the first time I had met Alfred when I was younger. I knew a lot about Indiana basketball. My dad, we were huge Hawkeye fans, but my dad did like watching Indiana and Bob Knight, and I know ESPN did that 30 for 30 not too long, and
I watched
a couple weeks ago, and it didn't have a very good light of Knight in the program, but I grew up doing the Steve Alford All-American workouts, the shooting drills, he had a couple of videos out, and so I knew that kind of game would fit my style a little bit more, that motion and read and react off of screens. So when I started to kind of drill down, I wanted to stay close to home. I have family that's in southeast Iowa and, obviously in Carroll where I grew up. I wanted my family to be able to be at games. It would be tough to go play in California or on the East Coast or go down in Texas. It would be hard to do that. I wouldn't have family around. So really Iowa ended up being kind of the number one choice. And if they didn't have scholarships or any opportunities, I would have had to have looked elsewhere.
I always wanted to ask you that. No, it made total sense, and it worked out great for you. Other than the game, the infamous NCAA tourney game your junior year, I still can't. I was not at that one. I think it was my dad's 80th birthday, but I remember that shot though. The shot from the corner, it bounced. Didn't it bounce a couple times on the rim before it fell in?
I think it might have went right through.
It did. I don't. But
you knew it was going in, though.
Yeah, when he shot that at him, what were you thinking when he took that shot?
I think it was pretty deflating because we were up so big. That was one of the best Hawkeye teams I think we've had. In a while.
I would agree.
Sure was.
I would agree.
And
Horner was.
We played hard, and we got guys like Doug Thomas who were 6th man of the year. Eric Hansen was defensive player of the year in the Big Ten. There was a lot of pieces that just fit right.
Yes.
And I think had we won that game, we were looking at making a pretty nice run.
I agree.
Elite Eight or Final Four. We were playing that well, and everybody was healthy. But I think when a game goes in that direction and you lose momentum, kind of taking your foot off the gas or playing a little different, we probably should have just stayed in and buried those guys instead of subbing and trying to not get cute with it. But when that momentum leaves and it's hard to get back, we missed some key free throws at the end, and it all happened so fast. And even to this day, I've never watched that second half. I've seen a little bit of the first half, but I've never gone back and watched it.
So do you think you guys down the stretch played not to lose that game? I don't want to say you choked. I never like saying that about athletes at that level. But do you think you just did play not to lose? Do you think Alfred coached not to lose? It seems like you guys...
I think in any situation when we were up big, and I think even early in the second half, we were still up 18 to 20 points.
Yeah.
I think you got to look at, and I would do the same thing if I had to do it over. You're probably thinking, hey, let's get some of these guys rotated, not sitting on for a bunch of rest, but you're thinking we get another game in 2 days, right? You get 1 day off, and then you're going to play again on Saturday. You're probably thinking, all right, let's get the rotation going here to get these guys rested. And all of a sudden, they, especially when you put a team down, then they're playing, they got nothing to lose at that point, and they start taking some shots that maybe they wouldn't normally take if it was a close game. They hit a buckets here or there, and then you get it under 10, and then you get it within 5, and you start missing free throws.
Yeah.
Then that's a game, and we start playing tight, and they're still playing loose.
Well, sometimes you focus so much on what the team favored to win didn't do, but I remember Southwest, they made a bunch of big shots that sometimes that just happens no matter how you're playing defense. They did. Sometimes you just got to give credit to the other team, but I won't keep belaboring a negative point like that because, no, I mean, what you and Horner and Bruner, what you guys accomplished, God, I forgot about Doug Thomas and Eric Hansen. That was
a great team.
That was a really talented team. It really was.
Yeah, no, it was great, and like I said, I appreciated my time here, just the people and the relationships that are here at this university. I can't tell you how much it made me the person I am today, and even for my own kids, I said this is a great place, and if you're ever going to go to college, I'd love to see them wear the black and gold or just go as students because it's definitely an awesome place. As you guys know, it's a great community, great town, and I was blessed to have that ability to suit up and play on Carver.
Well, you've made it your home now. You live here in eastern Iowa. Before we let you go, I wanted to just your thoughts on the Big Ten right now. I mean, how well Michigan's playing.
I think for everybody that's kind of listening, and we got 4 games that are winnable here, right? Northern Iowa, Western Carolina, we got a Savannah State and Bryant. So we could go 11-2 heading into this Big Ten.
They should go 11-2. They better. Yeah,
they should.
Right. Yes.
After that, like you said, you've got Michigan that's playing as good as anybody in the country. You've got teams like Nebraska, who used to be winnable games for us. They're ranked in the top 25.
Very talented.
We'll go Purdue, at Purdue, home Nebraska, at Northwestern. Those will be 3 games to start the Big Ten season again. We could be 0-5. Not saying that that's the case, but these are tough games night in, night out. We've got to win at home.
Yes.
And then we've got to go, we got to start splitting them on the road. In order to have a chance at postseason play, it's going to be a real stretch here once Big Ten starts.
And it's so competitive. I mean, Michigan just won by 2 points the other night. And there's been a lot of games like that already. And, yes, we could start 0-5, but, we've seen worse Iowa teams go and win at Purdue, too. So.
And then the other thing that's concerning, though, Adam, 3 of their last 4 games in conference play are at Ohio State, at Wisconsin, and at Nebraska. Odds are they're going to probably lose those 3 games. And so that's why you got to get these wins now. I mean, you can't lose anymore at home. I mean, just losing at home is a double-edged sword, but a lot of season left. Now at least they've got some momentum going into this finals break. They get a little time off for people to heal and everything. So I think that's big that they were able to get that going. Tom, do you have anything else before we let him go?
I was just going to say, for a competitor, obviously, after a game like Monday where we were just hapless, to turn around and come out last night and play so well, as a fan, you get whiplash. How are they able to just put that in their rearview mirror and then come out and play like they did last night?
I can side with them. Pat, you can remember a bunch of times going up to East Lansing.
Oh, yeah.
We got kicked in pretty good. Our team got kicked in from tip-off. I mean, for whatever reason, that's a tough place to play, and those are ones where if you're friend, as you come in the next day in practice, you forget about it, and obviously you move on to Iowa State. But literally, there's probably no watching game film of that because it was so bad and bad effort. And maybe it was good to get that out of our system, to understand that, and then to come back with the intensity and kind of the swagger that we had last night. I'm okay with losing that one if it got us a win Thursday night.
Don't let it linger. Yeah.
Yep. Don't let it linger. And Michigan State, I'm telling you, they're streaky when they get going up there and they get the crowd and everything else. It just seems like you're playing.
Izzo riding the refs. Izzo rides the refs. It seems like they let the game get always more physical up in East Lansing. It seems like they just don't call, and that could just be the Hawkeye homer and me coming out too. It just does seem though like they let them really play physical, and I'm not downgrading anything Iowa did, but Tom, you would agree it was really fortunate that last night's game was at Carver. Could you imagine losing at 30 up or 22 up there and then having to go to Ames to play that game last night?
Yeah, that would have been tough, especially, I mean, they get it going over there at Hilton, and the students get crazy, and that's a tough place to play, as anybody knows. I mean, look what they've done to Kansas and other teams that come in ranked in the top 5 or 10. It's a brutal place to go play, and it's good. It's a good win for us at home, and I was disappointed if I look back at anything that's kind of transpired. We should have beat Wisconsin, a couple Fridays ago.
Yeah.
We were in charge of that game. We had, guys that were playing well. I thought Tyler had a good game. We we had them down and did not execute at that last 5 minutes to pull the win out. So
that's a tough one. That you just hope they don't live to regret that one. But hey, Adam, appreciate this. Are we going to start doing this on Fridays now? Is that during the season? Does that work for you?
Does that work for you?
For me.
Okay, great.
For you guys, that'll
yep,
work.
That'll work. Great.
Super.
Appreciate it. And have a good weekend, Adam.
You too, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Adam.
Bye.
No, he's got such a great perspective because he was on both ends of that thing, and he was every time going into that Iowa State game after the story was always him. He handled it well, too. He's a good
guy. It shocks me that the Iowa State fans held a grudge. You know, if the tables were turned, I'm sure we would welcome arms.
No problem. We understand your decision.
The only other person who could have the same perspective as Adam, was it Alex Thompson that went the other way and transferred to Iowa State?
Yes.
Hello.
Or no, did he?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, pretty good. Hey, I was just thinking, when Connor was standing down there by the bench, couldn't he have dribbled out? Wasn't there enough time? I was walking up the stairs, so I didn't see it, but...
No, he was holding on to the ball. It would have been a double dribble if he'd have dribbled again.
Yeah, I think he'd already picked up his dribble, and I just think Connor thought that the Iowa State players were going to just give in. We're just going to let the last.
Well, and they should have.
They should have. By then, it was a 14-point game. Yeah, but no, he had already dribbled the ball, if I'm not mistaken.
He had.
I didn't know if he was just trying to taunt the Iowa State players, but pretty game. So.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
No, I know you're coached to play to the end, and I get the
North
mentality.
Dakota did the same thing.
Yeah, but there's no reason
to,
and especially Jacobson was just
he
that
did.
Was
I will,
stupid.
yeah, and I do agree with that. And I think, especially in a game when it's Iowa State, you got to try to avoid stuff like that because that's when tensions tend to flare. But no, I didn't think Connor did anything wrong.
No, and what is it, about 20 seconds left? They did kind of, give Iowa space.
That's what I thought they did. I thought it was over. That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's why I thought
and that's
it was so
what
weird
makes me wonder if they do that sometimes because he's the head coach's son.
You might be right.
And that they're just trying to get him or his dad to react.
Yeah,
and
it could be.
So you probably had a pretty good view of that,
Oh,
Jim.
I sure did.
It would have been straight across from you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what I saw.
Did you stand up and yell, "Prom, you effing bum"? You're a disgrace.
No, I had a couple of Iowa State fans behind me, and it was funny, because everybody's complaining about the referee, and
imagine that.
And so every time Iowa was complaining, the Iowa State fans, good call, And
Did you come close to blows or anything?
I almost smacked the lady behind me. Just keel hauled her.
That would have been a good one. But no, I thought it was a good atmosphere. It wasn't sold out, but it was a good enough crowd to where you didn't really think too much of some of the empty seats. But I thought there was a decent amount of students there,
and they were really into it.
They were into it. Yeah, they were.
All I could go by was the sound, the sound of, and I thought
it
it
was loud.
sounded like it was jamming.
So, Jim, what'd you think of the burrito lift, the kiss cam, you got the burrito,
the smile cam,
the Franwich? Were you able to keep track of where the
I lost
was?
the
He still was reacting to the kiss cam.
Yeah, they didn't even do a kiss cam, did they?
Did they not do the kiss cam? Did they not do that anymore?
But definitely the burrito lift. I could see.
Oh, the burrito lift! People were going nuts.
Absolutely.
If there's ever going to get anything for me to stop going to the Hawkeye sporting events, it's the burrito lift.
I want to ask you
the contest with no winner.
I want to approach it. What is it about the burrito lift that upsets you so much?
It's embarrassing.
Well, and there's nothing. There's no payoff to it.
I mean, okay, let's compare, say, jump around at Wisconsin to the burrito lift. How's your feelings on that?
Well, the jump around involves the students, right? Mostly?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, the whole stadium.
I'll give you. Yeah, so
that's a tradition that gets the whole country going.
Okay, now from an advertiser, since you've made a living in advertising, from Panchero's standpoint, isn't the burrito lift working perfectly for them? Because everybody seems to talk about it.
Well,
they either like it or they hate it.
It must be, or else they wouldn't still do it.
They wouldn't keep
doing it.
doing
They have a hot dog cannon. They can certainly do a burrito cannon and, shoot burritos up into the stands.
We do throw burritos up in the stands sometimes.
Now, I will say, and I agree with you that's a little silly, but it's still, and I'm not a huge Pancheros fan, but their burrito's still a pretty good deal.
Oh, yeah. And
$7 or so, and it stuffs
Yes.
you. My problem with Pancheros, though, is if you get it to go, and by the time you get home, you open up the plastic, the shell, the sticks, and the whole thing just falls apart. Yeah, it happens all the time. But it is amazing. I tweeted it last night. I'm always amazed at how excited some people get for the burrito list
because they get on camera,
and I get embarrassed for it.
No, I do too. And,
did you see the Russian acrobat at the halftime? She was awesome.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah.
She would have been a lot better if she did all that while she was eating a burrito.
That would have been. I would have paid extra for that.
My favorite repeating event is the
Dog.
William Tell overture and the cheerleaders doing the
that was cool.
round off.
That's always cool.
How about the dogs? They don't do the dogs much. Remember when the dogs were the big kick?
Love the dogs.
Yeah.
Hello.
First of all, the burrito list sucks.
Amen, bro.
Okay.
Second of all, if you want to avoid your tortilla sticking to the paper, have them wrap it inside out, meaning foil side up when they put the tortilla on it.
Oh,
there you go.
Seems to work for me.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I hadn't thought about that.
There you go.
So you've had the same problem then?
Culinary tips from the
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't go to Pancheros much, but their burrito is a good deal.
I haven't been there.
And I usually get it with the rice, the black beans, steak, and pico de gallo and hot sauce.
Ah, that sounds delicious.
It's good. They've got, what's weird, though, about Pancheros, they're getting all this free advertising. Is Steve going to be mad? Because they don't advertise with us, do they?
No, they don't. Oh, no.
Have they ever?
No.
Well, I'm going to criticize them a little bit, too, right now. They've got this hot sauce. Some of their chains have it, others don't. The one over here on Riverside has it, and it's the weird. And I love hot sauce. But this one is almost like a barbecue. It's just nasty. Then it's when I asked the manager about it, she was like, "Well, we have it. Other ones don't. They have their old hot sauce was great. For some reason, this one they've set, and it's just not good." All right, that's enough with Pancheros.
Okay.
What about Chipotle?
I have never eaten there.
I have not. I've never eaten there either.
You guys have never eaten at Chipotle?
Never.
Wow, I used to love it. I mean,
I love Mexican food.
I do too. But we've got so many great local ones here. I never go to the franchises.
No, God, there is a ton of good Mexican food here.
Although they don't advertise potato olays at Taco John's.
Oh, those are
I've got
rock stars.
I've got a coupon for a free one.
Oh
I
my God!
Brought it in,
So
let you two fight over it.
Yeah, well, I'd take Hunter down for olays.
I bet you would.
Now, olays are one too, where timing's big too. You can get olays when they're old and soggy, and they're not as good. If you get them right out of you can say that about anything. You get those things right out of the oven or however the deep fat fryer. Those things aren't. They're good, and they're good for you, aren't they?
The seasoning salt is so good.
They're really good for you, aren't they?
Yeah, the seasoning salt actually helps you lose weight.
That helps. I've heard that's really good for you, and I heard that the stuff inside the potato works as an artery. It helps unclog your arteries.
Yes, very much so.
I've heard the same.
Yeah, it's like a gut wash.
Did you see the study where you can eat 6 French fries a day and not have it?
Tell that guy just needs to STFU.
Who eats 6 French fries?
Nobody.
No one. It's like 3 potato chips. Nobody. does that.
Let's do that.
Hello.
Hey, you guys might have already talked about it, but were you surprised that Dimsel came out and played yesterday?
Yes.
Extremely.
Well, yeah, especially when they come out and say he's having season-ending knee surgery. Yeah, we were surprised, but said it's feeling better. Now, this is one of those things you got to see where he is in 2 weeks. This same thing could happen 2 weeks from now, but you just hope he doesn't play in enough games to where he loses his chance to get a red shirt. But, I was definitely surprised.
Do they know how many games he can play?
Well, yeah, they know. They got it down to the exact count. He's only played 2, so he's still safe. He's only played 2 games.
And have you guys talked about the death of Ryan Driscoll?
Yes.
A little bit.
A little bit, yes.
Sad.
Very sad.
Yeah.
Very
All
sad.
right, thanks.
Very sad. I mean, life's not fair sometimes.
Here's something we haven't brought up, and I'm going to plead ignorance on this. Does Bobby Hansen usually do the post game with the coach?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he does. And I didn't even. Well, I didn't.
Good question, but yeah,
that's a good question. No, I didn't mention a lot. I wrote basically just your most basic game story last night because I had computer problems. What happened was, I've got my power cord, and where the cord part of it's gotten loose.
Yeah.
And it's dead now, and I didn't realize it was dead. So for the last 2 days, I've been working on my 8 hours of battery pack. So then last night, with about 5 minutes to go in the first half, I get a warning, your battery, and I look down, I got 17 minutes left of battery.
Oh, God.
So I ended up having to take what I had written, put it into the story folder in our system for all Hawkeyes. Luckily, our photographer was there. And then I basically took whatever I had from the post game and wrote something really quick and put it up there just to get it up there. I wouldn't have gotten a story up. Now I have to go buy I assume it's just the power cord. I mean, that's my computer's not charging anymore, and it went dead last night. I have no power. So last night I was just lucky. Thank God Jeff Yoder was there. I was able to use his computer just to get the videos and stuff up and man, that media room was packed. Couldn't believe how much media was there last night. And the room is pretty small over there at Carver Hawkeye. It's not a real big room, but boy, I mean, there was a lot of press covering that game last night.
Okay, so let's extrapolate a little bit here. So we will be favored in the next 4 games.
Oh, heavily.
So let's say they win them like they should.
11-2.
11-2. Do you think they need to get would 21 be enough for the NCAAs?
Because that would only be 10-10 in the conference.
It would.
No, I mean.
You think they got to put about 11?
11 and no. I think to me 13-7 is probably going to be the cutoff for the NCAAs.
Yikes.
Because think of all the other teams that are going to have as good or better records that will probably finish. I mean, there's a lot of teams that might win 10 games in the Big Ten this year. That's winning 10 games in the Big Ten isn't what it used to be. So no, I think they'll have to go 13-7. That would make them 24-9.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would get them in. To me, that's the bottom.
Well, I would sure think.
Maybe, Nebraska went 11-5 last year and didn't get in.
I think maybe, what if half the 10 wins come against Michigan?
When's the last time a Big Ten team made it in at 500?
Yeah, I don't know.
It just doesn't happen very often. And 10 wins is 500. I think they're going to have to win at least 12 or 13 games, win out here and win 12 or 13 games to have a chance. I mean, because I just don't think you're going to see a lot of 11-9 and 10-10 teams in the NCAA tournament. That's borderline NIT the way things are set up now.
What about 11-9 and 2 wins in the Big Ten tournament?
Now that would be different. I could see that because that would do 13. That'd get them up to 24. I think that would give them a good chance. Yeah, if they're 11-9 and win 2 in the tournament, I think they're definitely on the bubble.
That's our goal.
Well, I mean, they just got to try to go 13 or maybe try to. I mean, it's not against the law to lose fewer than 7 or 8 Big Ten games. I mean, they could always go 13-7 or 14-6 and just don't leave it to chance. Just do it.
The truth is every single night, well, other than Michigan State, is going to be a dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
Yeah.
And we've seen, was it Northwestern that was 2 points from Michigan the other night? And Wisconsin beat Rutgers by 2, was it?
And see, Iowa just needs to make sure they win those types of games.
Yes.
Those close games. I mean, Michigan didn't play very well the other night, was on the road. They still found a way to win.
Yeah.
That's why it's Michigan. That's what they do. Iowa's not there yet.
No.
Iowa still has to, and I still want to see them against better teams. They still don't have a great win. This Iowa State team is nothing like it's going to be. And Oregon and Connecticut. So we'll see. I mean, but if they go 11-2, which I think they have a really, really, really good chance of doing, if they go 11-2 and then they go 11-9 in the conference, that would be 22-11. Mm-hmm. Then I think they go into that Big Ten tournament
needing
1 or 2 wins to get in.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you can. So what I'm saying is they could lose 9 games this year in conference play and still have a chance. I mean, so. But I think it'd be much better, obviously, if they just go 13-7 or 14-6 and don't leave it to chance.
Sounds like a
but
better
it's
plan.
easier said than done, especially when you're 0-2 and one of them is already a home loss.
Yeah.
I don't like these early conference games. I just
don't
like
either.
I don't like them. I don't. If Iowa was 2-0, I'd be saying the same thing. I don't like how you play these 2 conference games. The next thing you know, you're playing Savannah State. I just don't. No knock on Savannah State, but I just don't like the emotional roller coaster. I just would like to get it back to the way it was. What do you think of Delaney talking about possibly getting rid of divisions and trying to pick the 2 best teams every year for the? My problem with that is every year they're going to try to get it to be Ohio State and Michigan.
Well, and okay, Northwestern won their Big Ten.
They've won 15 they've won 14 of their last 15 Big Ten games.
Why penalize Northwestern?
Because I think they're trying to get better matchups. Let's face it, and I like Northwestern's story, but that was not a great game last week. It never felt like Northwestern. I was worried that they were going to get destroyed.
But Ohio State Michigan wasn't a great game either.
You're right. No, But I do worry, though, if they did something like that, it would be trying to feed that, let's get Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
But then you do that, though, then what does that do to the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry game during the season?
Well, you
destroy it.
If you play it at the end, then they play twice in a row.
And I just think it would.
Years.
I just don't think that would be good either. But
no.
The fact that Delaney's even discussing that tells you he's not happy about something.
Well, he wasn't happy about Northwestern winning the West and going in there with 4 losses.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
Then he needs to get his other teams to beat Northwestern.
Well, that's right.
I mean, Iowa had a chance, Wisconsin had. Everybody had a chance to beat them, and nobody did.
Yeah, no.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I say just keep it the way it is right now. I mean, because I still think there's going to be conference realignment or expansion here in the next 3 to 5 years. There's been talk about 4 super conferences or what have you, but I think eventually we're going to see 18 playoff too. I think that's coming too.
Hello.
Yeah, Jim Delaney, you've done enough. Don't mess with it. It's time to go.
Okay.
Enough said.
Dude, you're messing with stuff that, I mean, it took forever, took years for the Big Ten to get a Big Ten championship game and have 2 divisions and do what I feel is the right thing and have an East and a West and do it. And it's good now. And the championship games, there has been some blowouts, but there has been some really entertaining games. Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State. They've been pretty good championship games, except for a few of them. Why mess with it, man? Just when you start doing that, and it's time to go.
Well, I think everything Delaney does, money's the motivator. I think.
Well, sure it is.
I think he thinks.
Sure it is.
But I think Tom's right, though. I don't think he was happy with Northwestern.
No.
And Northwestern didn't go and make a great showing either. It got beat 45-24. It was not a great game.
Mm-mm.
I'm with you, though.
No,
I say don't mess with it. Tom, you were a big fan of Legends and Leaders, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
Having, I hate Wisconsin with every fiber of my being, but to have them in the other division and not play them every year was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Yep, you're right.
I mean, and so then, like, Pat, you made the thing, like, I agree that I think most of Delaney's, it's about money and whatever. And to be about money and to do what's best financially for your schools, is that wrong? No, but there's also a point where, you just let it be.
I agree. I'm
there's a $51 million check to all the institutions that says he's doing pretty well.
Yep, I'm with
you. Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to. Delaney's he's not going to be there much longer. I mean, he's in his 70s now. I think it'll be interesting to see who takes over for him. Stoops, Alvarez. What if they have Barry Alvarez just takes over the Big Ten? Would you like that?
No. Hey, the only thing I care about in these divisions, the only thing I care about is that Iowa plays Nebraska and Wisconsin. Other than that, I really don't care who they play.
Okay, and I think a lot of fans share that opinion with you.
I want Minnesota too. Gotta have Floyd.
That's true. That rivalry, but I mean, to me, I hate Nebraska and Wisconsin. That's a competitive game rivalry. Both teams, so many things similar. Minnesota, throw them on there. They need to have a few protected games, but those 3, but the rest of them, I could care less if we play Purdue or Rutgers. It is what it is.
Well, I think a lot of fans feel the same way you do. I really do.
I've been to Rutgers, and
You got to play your border rivals. You just have to. So, all right.
I want to hold on. I want to bring it up one more time about the last night. The Jacobson, the first time it happened, was that coming out of a timeout or going into a timeout? Because he was the only Iowa State player down there, and that was the first.
Well, no,
time.
It was a transition. Iowa was getting ready to go down the court, if I remember correctly. Connor had the ball, and Jacobson just decided that he was going to harass Connor. Connor, I believe, picked up his dribble, hadn't he?
I think so.
I
thought it was the whistle was blown.
No, I don't believe the whistle was blown, though, until they started. And then I think the officials jumped in. And I don't remember. What I do remember, though, is those two standing chest to chest, and then Pemsel just, like I said, Pemsel looked like a kid at recess. Yay, a fight. And then that's when the officials stepped in.
You know who I wish was on the team? I was wishing like
AJ Epinesa?
Was it Jacob Jacks?
Oh,
Jacob
yeah.
Jakes?
Jacob Jakes, yeah.
Yeah, if they'd had Jackson
Ed Horton.
McCabe out there, they'd have wrecked house on them guys.
What would Ed Horton have done last night, Tom?
Oh, I would love to see him take Jacobson down. That'd
God.
be great.
Yes. Ed Horton would have been.
Oh,
Ed,
my God.
Ed would have fit into last night's setting quite well.
He sure would.
Yep.
Anyway, and one more thing, man. That dude, that Jacobson, I rest my case on one thing. Where'd he play last year? Where'd he come from? He's a Husker.
All right.
He's a puke.
Jerry,
Goodbye.
all right. Got to give him credit. He's consistent with the theme.
Yes.
He's not vary from that theme very much. The hate Nebraska.
Hello.
Slide Michigan and Michigan State over to ours and move Illinois and Northwestern over to this one.
No, that would make it harder in basketball and football. So you're embracing competition. I like that. You're not running. Okay, all right.
Because you've got the Frost over there, the savior of Nebraska. They're supposed to be national contenders in a couple of years, so we'd have a hell of a division.
No, I agree, but I'm old-fashioned. I still think it should be based on geography. I've always been that way, and I
agree.
I see what you mean, though, and it'll be interesting.
Well, because competitive balance changes.
Yes, and I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced this guy at Illinois is going to succeed there. I don't know. They don't look any better.
Underwood?
Yeah, they don't look any better this year. And he just every time I look at him, he looks like he's ready to explode. I mean, he's a scary looking guy.
Then I believe on that play last night, the previous caller was talking about. I think Pemzo was like taking a charge because he got hit and slid down.
Oh, then he jumped right up, and when he saw the confrontation between, he was right there. He basically
it was like a guard dog. Jumped into.
He basically stood in the way of Connor. No, if you're messing with Connor, you're messing with me, and I think that kind of sent a message.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. And see, I would have probably written something like that if I had a computer, but I basically wanted to get whatever game information and videos I could onto just so I gave our readers something. I mean, it's weird, man, when you don't have a computer. It really makes your job hard to do.
Most people can't do their jobs anymore.
No,
I mean, we can't do it here.
It'd be
everything's computerized.
Or it would have been like you going with landslide and your guitar not working.
Well, that
did you ever have that happen?
A lot. I'll go, hell yes.
What would you
We had one night at Billy Joe's in Cedar Falls where every facet of our band failed to a point. Our backdrop fell down. Our guitar player blew up his amp. Our monitors quit working. Our subwoofers were intermittent. Every single the lights, one of the light bars fell down.
Oh, jeez.
Every single aspect.
Jim, I think three
words
sum it up: drugs and alcohol. No, I'm just kidding.
Hello.
Hey guys, any word on how the ticket sales are going for the bowl game?
I have not heard a thing.
All I can, we got a couple of packages through Weinbrenner Carpet, although they're not really Weinbrenner anymore. They're tied in with another travel conglomerate. Mm-hmm. We bought our 4-day package through them, and they are sold out. That means nothing.
You know what that means number-wise? Sold out? How many that? No, that's probably a story that people in the media will probably do sometime next week. I would do an update.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Iowa State, you can tell because Jamie Pollard tweets every time somebody buys a ticket for them. And but no, I have not heard anything. But my guess is that story will start to surface either this weekend or early next week. We'll start getting updates.
But that's the only thing that I have seen or heard that part sold out. But that's probably 100 tickets is all. Or 100 people.
I still think they're going to get most of their tickets from walk-ups from down
sure.
there. I bet you that's 3/4 of the fans that go. And I
agree.
still bet you there's at least 15,000 Iowa fans at that game.
There have been at the other ones I've been down
between
there.
15 and 30,000 usually.
Yep.
So it's interesting because I like to listen to the enemy podcasts and media. I like to see how the other side thinks. And I was listening to Mississippi State's sort of version of, say, the Hawkeye Report or All Hawkeyes the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very excited for the bowl game. Their fans seem very enthusiastic. They haven't been to this bowl. This is the best bowl game they've been to in a while, I guess, since that year that they were number one briefly. And their fans are up for it. And they said on this podcast, and they might be exaggerating, they thought that there could be 30,000 to 40,000 Mississippi State fans at the game.
Wow.
So
How many does it hold? 65?
Somewhere between 60 and 70,
Something
I
like
believe.
that.
Yeah. I will say they're confident, too. The Mississippi State, the football program's Twitter account, when they announced the bowl matchup, I went and looked at some of the comments underneath, and almost everyone was, "Oh God, this will be easy." I was surprised at how they just kind of dismissed Iowa. Very confident, at least that sample.
Let's hope the football team thinks the same thing.
Yeah.
I listened to a few other podcasts and things. I looked at a few message boards, and that was the universal assumption: is Iowa's not very good.
Yes,
they play in the Big Ten West.
Slow.
The Big Ten West is weak. Iowa's slow. I listened to one that was obviously the most homerish fan cast of all time, and they were, really, you would have thought that it was Alabama, Georgia, and then Mississippi State in the SEC, and nobody else outside of those two teams could beat Mississippi State in the whole country, even though they have the same record as Iowa. And if you look at us on paper, we're almost identical teams.
Well, I think Iowa's got more balance.
There may be they might be a little stronger defensively than
we are.
Yeah.
I think they're a little more athletic.
They're number 3 in total defense, number 1 in scoring defense. But then on offense, and so Iowa's like number 7 in total defense, 11th in scoring defense, I think it was. And then offensively, Iowa's like 75th in total offense and 46th in scoring, and then they're like 75th and 76th and 77th in both of those categories. So they're not that good offensively.
No, and they're more one-dimensional than Iowa. Iowa can throw, Iowa can run, but a lot of the comments I heard was, "Oh yeah, I love the Outback Bowl matchup. I just was hoping we'd get a bigger challenge." He goes, "This should be easy." There was a ton of Mississippi State fans saying that. "Oh, this should be easy. Have you seen Iowa? They're slow, they're predictable, they can't win close games, and what have you." I was just surprised at how they just dismissed Iowa.
Well, we don't have the SEC speed, that's for sure, but I think
it's going to be a good game.
I do too.
I really do.
I think it's going to be a good game. Anyway, have a good weekend.
All right,
guys.
thanks. Appreciate
thanks
it.
a lot.
I do think it's going to be a good game. I think it could be a low-scoring game, but I do think Mississippi State fans are a lot more confident than Iowa fans. But it's also different, too. They're in year 1 with a new coaching staff, so there's energy just from that. Whereas Iowa's in year 20 from Ferentz, and we've talked about it before. Some people are bored with that and what have you, but I don't know. I would be surprised if Iowa goes down there and loses by 2 or 3 touchdowns. I just would be. I just don't think Mississippi State's defense or offense is going to be able to do a ton. Now, my biggest worry is that Iowa doesn't. That 29 rushes for like 30 yards, and if they do that, they're going to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
They're going to lose. They're going to have to run. Coach Patterson, when we have him on next, he's doing some analytics. He looked up one stat where the 100-yard rushing barrier for both teams is so reflective of whether they win or lose. But I will say this Mississippi State offense is not a juggernaut by any means. It's very one-dimensional. They do not throw the ball very well. Phil Parker has a month to prepare for him, so we'll see. It'll be interesting.
One question, Pat. Do you think TJ's gone?
A week ago, I would have been 70-30 stay. Now I'm 70-30 leave just because what's he do for an encore?
Yeah.
What's he do for an encore when right now he's the premier tight end in the nation? He's the hottest thing going, coming off a season with 700 yards. And the other thing, he's not going to have Noah next year, guys. And I'm telling you, even when I know Noah stood on the sideline a lot, there were so many plays this year where T.J. Hockenson was wide open because of Noah Fant. And he won't have that next year. Because no knock on the other guys, but they're not going to be double-teaming Nate Whiting, Drew Cook, and Sean Byer next year. It's going to be completely different.
They'd be double-teaming him.
Yes, and I think when T.J. weighs it all, he's 3 years into his program. He said he needs another 2 or 3 semesters to graduate. That I have a feeling now I'm 70-30 that he's leaving. That's just my gut feeling. I have nothing to base it on. T.J. has not tipped his hat to anybody, at least anybody in the media, not that I'm aware of. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think maybe even more like 80-20 that he's going to go,
Hello.
Nothing
Hey,
to
guys,
base that on,
back to that first half skirmish last night. I was at the game, so I didn't get the advantage of seeing the replays, but from what I can remember, that play happened right after a turnover on them that they called an offensive foul, and I thought the ball might have gone out of bounds, and Pemsl was waiting to inbound the ball, and Jacobson I thought was towards the corner when the foul was called, and I remember kind of thinking, what was he doing going towards the free throw line area? Why wasn't he just going straight down the court to get back on defense?
Yeah, I just don't.
And
okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying play was. So you're saying play was stopped. Connor was waiting to get the inbounds pass from Pemsel
was out of bounds.
And Jacobson was harassing Connor. Was he doing it?
I think he just went over there to say, got in Connor's face. I don't know, I was too far away to hear anything what was said, but I think he came over specifically to get in Connor's face. And
he did. Yes.
Saw him, making a beeline right towards Connor.
Yes.
And then he didn't, wait to inbound the ball. He just exploded out there onto the court.
Yeah, Pemsel was out of bounds.
Between them.
Yes, you're right. Now it's coming back.
Yeah, he was going to inbound it, and he just exploded out there and just kind of tried to get between them and push him away from Connor.
No, you're right.
And that's what happened. So, but I think, Jacob's been instigated.
Oh, I do. Without question. And I was looking. I didn't see it all because that's right about when I realized my computer was going dead. So I was preoccupied at times. But I looked up, and yes, Jacobson, all his other teammates were down the court. He was there to disrupt Connor. He was there to try to get Connor upset. And I think that was part of his purpose. And I applaud Pemsel did that without pushing. He didn't put his hands on. He just stood in front and said, hey, you're going through me if you're going to try to get at him. We're teammates. And I thought it sent a good message.
I really hope that Pemsel can keep going and that he's just honest with himself and any pain he's feeling or, that he doesn't do any damage.
I agree. I think he will be.
He will be.
He will be, and they've got great medical care over there. I mean, my concern is that he plays in too many games to redshirt and then something happens and he ends up having a 9 or 10 game junior season. That's what I hope doesn't happen.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed Weiss camp, and Connor's been a great surprise this year. The one thing I could maybe suggest on him and how he's listening, but it seems that every time he makes, at least gets called for a foul, and sometimes it could be questionable, that he kind of, complains every
He was
every
just
time.
like that in high school. That's just him. I agree with you. That's been one of his biggest downfalls. But if you look...
But has it worked for him? Has he ever gotten a ref to change the call because he complained or whined? No. I mean, it just doesn't happen, so you're just better off...
But the apple doesn't fall too far
turn
from
away.
the tree, and his mom and dad are both very emotional. But Fran's different. Fran doesn't react to everything. That is my biggest criticism with Connor in high school. He let the refs get into his head too much. He would react. I saw him get a couple technicals. I saw him get a technical as a freshman.
I could understand it if it is a questionable call, but sometimes it's just a blatant foul, and he'll still. It's like, okay, Connor, you got to take that one because that was a foul, But I don't know. He's got that mentality that's never a foul. I think.
I'll put it into perspective for just imagine that he's got a Wisconsin uniform on, and it'll all make sense to you.
Okay.
There you go.
Anyway, looking forward to the rest of the season. So we have a 9-day break. Is that what
Yes,
we have
next
right
game
now,
is December 15th, next Saturday in Des Moines against UNI.
Okay. All righty. Looking forward to
All right.
it.
All right. Thanks.
Great
Appreciate
show,
the call.
guys.
Yep,
Take care.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
But you heard me say that. My biggest Connor sometimes he's too demonstrative out there, and sometimes I think referees see that, and they're human. They take it personal.
Well, he's an emotional player.
Yeah, he just needs to. And the caller's right though. There's times where he just kind of rolls his eyes and just gives you the impression like, oh, you didn't just call that, did you? But if that's the only thing we can criticize right now, then he's doing pretty well.
Exactly.
And I think some people may say, that edge that he does show there, that helps him. That's just part of who he is. Because his mom played with an edge at Notre Dame. I never saw her play. She still has an edge. I mean, I remember when she got mad at me 2 years ago because I wore a burgundy shirt to the Iowa State game here. I thought she was joking. She gave me, why are you wearing? She thought it was too close to Iowa. It was maroon, like dowling. And I laughed and said something. She's like, Pat, I'm not joking. Why are you wearing Iowa State's colors? And she was pissed.
Oh, wow. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
What really happened was, I can't remember who took the charge for Iowa, but Jacobson helped his teammate up. And Connor was coming in to help his teammate up, whoever took the charge. They bumped shoulders, and that's when Jacobson started talking to Connor. Pemsel saw that. He came up and pushed Jacobson, and that's why Pemsel got the technical as well.
Oh, he did put it. Okay. See, I don't remember.
And that's why Iowa State shot 2 free throws and got
Yeah, well, there were 3 dead ball fouls. Connor,
Yeah.
Jacobson and
Two on
Penzel.
Iowa
Yeah.
and one on Iowa State.
And then Iowa State shot. Didn't he miss both of them?
Made one.
Made one. You're right, though.
Yeah.
Penzel did put his hands on Jacobson. He basically stood in between and then pushed Jacobson away.
Yeah.
Now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, that's what happened. So.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
But no, I did. I kind of had.
When Connor and Jacobson bumped shoulders, it was inadvertent, but in the heat of the situation, you don't know. It's a rivalry game. You know, and Jacobson had experience playing Iowa at Nebraska, and he knows what kind of a game this game is. So he was fired up as well as everybody else.
You bet.
And I think Connor and Jacobson have a little bit similar personalities, too.
It looked like
And I think those personalities kind of cross paths. And luckily, it didn't escalate.
Connor is a Hawkeye, so I like him, and Jacobson is a Cyclones, and
So
I
he
didn't like it.
sucks. You don't like
Because
it.
he's got an edge, and I don't like he reminded me just,
Well, if nobody besides a Hawkeye should have an edge, don't we
Right.
agree?
Yes.
That's why this is all Hawkeyes. You take that edge back to Ames.
The Hawkeyes are edgy. The other players are a-holes.
Yes. Although I was defending
Yes.
Prohm earlier because I do think the anti-Prohm,
That was
I
way
do
out
think
of-
that's
out
a
of
little bit of an overreaction. I mean, and I will say, Prohm went out of his way to apologize after the game.
He
and I thought Fran, even in the press conference, was good. He helped to calm things more because Fran could have said, I thought it was ridiculous what they did, but he didn't. He's
No,
like,
and he said good things
Good
about
things,
Prohm.
and then you move on. You move on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like Chrome was Jeff Van Gundy against Miami.
No, no.
It
God, remember that? Remember that, grabbing him by the ankle?
jeez.
God, that was hilarious.
Those were fights.
Yes.
All that happened last night was arguing, getting in each other's face, like it should happen in a rivalry game. No punches or anything like that were thrown.
God, those old
He was
Knicks,
just trying to break it up as quick as possible.
those old
Yeah.
Knicks games with Patrick Ewing, and oh my God, were those things? Patrick Ewing was scary. Now he's doing a decent job as the Georgetown coach. They're pretty good this year.
They are.
I'm with you though, caller. I think that it could have gotten a lot worse. Cooler heads thankfully prevailed. And hopefully that will be the storyline from this game. I mean, one thing I forgot to even put that Dolph was back in my story last night. It was good to have Dolph back. They're 7-0 with Dolph, so I think Dolph is definitely the key.
Clearly.
So that's going to be my next question to Fran. Fran, it seems obvious that Gary's the key to your team, so you got to make sure he stays in that position. Do you think Fran would like that question?
Well, he's liable to be 11-0 with Dolph.
Probably is. You're right.
0-2 without.
Anything else, caller?
Just on your guys' opinion, who between Iowa and Iowa State has better bowl matchup?
I like Iowa State's from an entertainment point of view because I think it could be 41-38,
and ours could be 6-4.
Yeah, I watch Mississippi State. They're not a fun team to watch. They're boring.
I guess I'm primarily a Cyclone fan, but I think familiarity-wise, Iowa State's got a hands down because Leach's offense hasn't changed in 20 years.
No,
right.
No, you're right.
Well, one game's going to have 90 points scored, and the other's going to have 10.
I think they're both good matchups. I think they're both look like competitive matchups on paper.
Yeah. But I tell you what, after that bowl game announcement was made, it's the first time I've ever done it. I went to West Virginia's football page, and some of those fans, oh my God, were they bitching about that. Oh, they don't deserve to be in that bowl game and this and that. Well, yeah, we kind of do. We mopped the floor with your guys.
That's right. So then shut up and beat the Cyclones, or you deserve what you get. No.
How about Tom Suter defending Iowa State?
You
God,
bet.
this is like the Twilight Zone.
And like I said to a few of them, I said, oh, yeah, we dominated the mighty Mountaineers. If you think about it, they only scored one offensive touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery had 4 yards rushing that West
Yep.
Virginia had total.
Yeah,
It was a whitewashing.
Yeah, I got no problem with Iowa State's bowl bid. I think
No.
I think they're going to love. They're going to love the Alamo Bowl, and San Antonio is going to love Iowa State fans because they're going to spend a buttload of money.
Oh, the Alamo Bowl's a great bowl. The Cyclone fans should eat that up.
Did you ever
because
come
it's
close
fun.
to falling in the Riverwalk?
No.
Never
Well,
did?
and I saw a funny tweet yesterday. The Alamo Bowl tweeted out something like Cyclone fans, we understand you guys love Busch Light. Don't worry, we've got you covered.
There you go. No, it should be a good time. Should be a good time and a fun game.
Are you going down?
We were going to, but we're still trying to harvest our crops. We've got a bunch of cramps going on, so we decided to skip this year, unfortunately. But I wish we could, though.
Yeah, because it's so much fun, and and no offense, but maybe a while before the Cyclones get to a bowl that's as much fun as the Alamo Bowl is.
Well, yeah, I guess if we'd only brought our A game against Texas, who knows, maybe we would have been playing in New Orleans, but that's the way it goes.
That's it.
So, well, have a good one, boys.
All right,
thanks so much for the call. He's a good caller.
Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. He gives you that Iowa State perspective, but he follows Iowa too. No music discussion today, other than landslides. One bed. Did you guys get booed? Did you get booed off the stage?
No. Some of it happened before the show started. So
I would imagine Ann wouldn't take well to booing. If you had drunk,
no, we never got booed.
Did she ever get into it with like drunk, just nasty customers? There had to have been some of those, didn't you? Shuck. People like that.
Not so much.
Okay. All right. Well, then obviously none of my friends ever went to your concerts.
I mean, of course, we all got hit on often.
Mm-hmm.
And the women more so than the guys, even. But
so no, it was big for Ann's ego every time you guys went out and performed with men hitting on her.
Well, you gotta have an ego, or you shouldn't be on stage.
Yeah,
that's true.
You can't do it.
Yep.
There you go. So, did we cover everything? We got the women's game. We talked about that. Did we talk about the women's?
We didn't.
They won 73-70. Tania Davis.
Step back three.
2.3 seconds to go.
Yeah.
And then Ashley Jones, I felt sorry for her, the girl from City High.
Yeah.
She's going to be a great player. I mean, obviously I wanted Iowa to win, but I would like she had a rough go. She had a chance to tie the game. Her shot bounced out. She only made 1 of 10 shots, and she missed a lot of open threes that she normally would make. And I think she was pressing a little bit, which is understandable. She's an 18-year-old girl playing in her hometown for the biggest rival. There was a lot of emotion in that game, but she will definitely bounce back.
Yep. So, but a big shot by Tania.
Yeah, she looked stunned by the result.
And what about Kathleen Doyle? She did her own Temsel thing, just coming first game of the year after a
22 or
22 points and was just huge on defense and handled the ball. They don't win the game without Kathleen Doyle. And Megan Gustafson only took 7 shots, had 13 points, did get 16 rebounds. So big win for the Iowa women. So this has been, between football, women's basketball, wrestling. a nice little
we're on a roll.
Little 4-peat against the Cyclones.
So I think we're 10-6 overall.
Yes, I believe it's 10 in that what do they call it? The Cyhawk
series.
Yeah. So anything else?
I think we got her.
Hell, John and I will be here in 22 hours tomorrow to bring up the same stuff. And then you'll be here with Wapsie.
I'll be here with Wapsie, and then maybe tomorrow we can drift off into some music.
We'll do that, and then because we don't have really anything going on for a while. We got, just so our listeners know, finals week is coming up in Iowa, so that's why the basketball teams aren't. There's really nothing going on next week. We got no games during the week, and Fran's next press conference isn't until Thursday.
Might be it's a pretty key week in recruiting, I think.
Oh yeah, with football recruiting, they're seeing the coaches are all over the place, and still don't. That Justin Jacobs is official as to how. I know I've seen a bunch of stuff. Oh, he's low. My attitude with stories like that is until it's done, I don't ever assume anything with it. Because I do think sometimes they say what they know these recruiting guys want to hear when they're calling from a particular school.
And we've all been so wrong so many times about what recruits are going to do. You can't.
And it's one guy.
And it's 17 and 18-year-old kids. Who the hell knows what they're going to do?
Remember Justin Hilliard and Jashawn Cornell, how Iowa fans, one was from Minnesota, the other was from Ohio, 4-star. Neither one of those guys even started Ohio State now.
Yeah.
I know. You just never know. So, you hope that Iowa can keep this kid, but if not, they'll get somebody else and the world goes on.
Amen, brother.
But he is taking his official, I believe, to Ohio State this weekend.
He is.
Take this last call, or is that money?
That's money.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
AllHawkeyes.com. Get your subscription this day.
Over the years, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys on the market today. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, sidewinder, and remote-headed keys. If you've lost the keys to your car or simply need a duplicate, call 330-9185. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars has the technology to keep you on the road. Call 330-9185 and schedule